These are my top 5 books about King Philip's War, organized in no particular order. So to start, I'd highly recommend King Philip's War, Colonial Expansion, Native Resistance, and the End of Indian Sovereignty by Daniel Mandel. It's a perfect read for anyone who's looking for a high-level overview of the war, and it also gives a very balanced review of the conflict. Next, I'd recommend Flintlock and Tomahawk by Douglas Edward Leach. Now, since it was written in the 50s, this book does have some extremely outdated views that the reader should be aware of. But since it's the most complete military history of the war that I've ever read, I do think it's worth the read. I would just recommend coupling it with the more modern interpretation of the war. And on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, we have Our Beloved Kin by Lisa Brooks, which looks at the war from an indigenous perspective. I really enjoyed this book, and I found it super eye-opening, as it does a great job of challenging some of the standard interpretations of the war. Now, my fourth recommendation might just be my favorite, which is King Philip's War, Civil War in New England. Now, I really like this book because I found Drake's argument for why the conflict should be considered a civil war absolutely fascinating. I can't say I completely agreed with his argument, but I did find it really interesting, so I would suggest checking this one out as well. And finally, there's The Name of War by Joe Lepore, which is one of the most uniquely written books about a war that I've ever read. So in her book, Lepore examines how English writings about the conflict were used to justify its brutality and help to widen the divide between indigenous and Anglo-American cultures. She definitely brings up topics and subjects that you're not going to get from a standard military history of the war, so this one is definitely worth the read.